As Upclose crew, you know, we do what we need to do. We're the home of media personality Janet Mbugua Ndeshu. Yes, and we're about to have breakfast with her, spend the day with her. She has her new book doing great things for this country, and I'm super excited to be with her today. You have such a beautiful home.
Thank you, my dear, and thank you for coming.
Beautiful home. Say hi to, this is it. This is your camera.
Okay.
Finally, you see, nimemleta kwa show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for inviting me to do this.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm nervous.
Oh, come on.
Very nervous
How
about
long were
interviews.
you on TV for?
For a while.
For a while.
I know.
First of all, congratulations, madam, because she has her new book.
Yes, I do.
I'm so happy for you.
My first time.
Yeah.
It's been a labor of love.
Yeah.
It's been something I've been working on for
Right,
a while, and I'm really excited. It's one of those things that I'm super proud of.
Yeah.
I don't know that we give enough credit to ourselves sometimes when we've done something, but
Yeah.
this is something I thank God that He's just given me the grace to keep going and see it become a reality. And I know it's going to change lives. I'm focusing on 3 things. I call them my 3 Fs. I say faith, family, and focus.
Yeah.
So my faith,
family, and focus.
yeah, so faith is, I'm just trying to strengthen my faith in God. Family, I love family. I love my kids. I love my parents. I love just spending time with my family.
Yeah.
They keep me very grounded.
Right.
And then
Mali, Huru is in school?
Huru is in school. He's almost 4.
Yeah.
Mali just turned 1.
Aww.
So he's still...
And you've been hiding him, but at least I've seen one picture or
Yes.
two.
When he turned 1, I was like, when he turns 1, I'll show his face.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'll just see.
And
It's
then
like,
the number 3 now.
it's focus. So focus is work.
Yes.
It's my projects. It's the things I'm passionate about doing. I wake up between 5:30 and 6. I have my me time, just like for 15, 20 minutes. I, shower, have a bite, meditate, just be quiet. And then at 6, you'll hear, Mommy! That's my alarm. That's my alarm. Then I'm like,
Who's
okay,
that?
that's
Huru
Huru.
now.
That's
Yeah,
Huru.
yeah.
And then the day starts. It's like getting them ready, feeding, bathing, getting. Then once he's off to school, I kind of go about my work now.
All right.
Or I stay back to spend some time with Mali. I'm trying to rearrange my days just so that I can spend a fair bit of time with each of them.
Okay.
So I'm home usually by 5. 4:35 p.m.
What?
Yeah,
Sometimes that is when some of other people's days.
I know. I try to be home by that time just so that I can have
At
the
least
evening.
have them with you.
Yeah.
But we have to start with some tea.
Karibu chai.
Thank you so much.
You have a seat today. I'm going to serve you.
Hey.
Yes.
Can you say that, the industry, especially when you're very active on TV, was kind to you? Because it's not to many of us. There's that pressure that you're talking about, high pressure.
First of all, Kenya is a tough crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, 2003, I was at Capital FM.
Oh, yes, of course. Capital,
which was so surreal because it's also something I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So if I'm to go back, I used to listen to Rick D's.
Yes,
when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Then I used to listen to Patricia Mira, and then I used to listen to all these presenters. And I'd sit there listening to them and admiring them.
Yeah.
And then I finished high school and I wanted to take a gap year. So my folks were like, that's all well and good, but you will earn your own money. I think I was like 18. I'm like, okay.
Really?
Yeah, they've been quite tough in that sense. So I was in Mombasa because that's where I grew up.
Yeah, that's where you grew up.
And a friend of mine was like, hey, by the way, there's a new radio station and they're looking for presenters. Why don't you go try?
Yeah.
And I said, let me try. So I went in. The screen test was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
He just told me to say, this was in Mombasa, Pulse FM. I don't think it exists anymore.
Oh, there's a TV station in Mombasa?
Yeah, I should even say radio. I don't know why I say
Radio.
screen test. The audio test.
The audio test.
So he just said, okay, just say something into the microphone. That was my training,
So
Betty.
what did you say?
I was just
Hi.
like, hi, my name is Janet, da, da, da. Then he's like, okay, you can start tomorrow. I'm like,
What?
wait. I have not trained. He's like, oh, you're fine. Everything I've ever done has been baptism by fire, by the way. You'll come to know. So I said, okay, I need the job. So I told my folks I have a job. They're like, good, then you can take your gap year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I did Pulse FM for a few months.
How much are they paying?
I think it was 10 or maybe
10,
less.
that's a lot of money to start off with.
10 or 7.
Kwanza those days.
Those days.
Yeah.
But they didn't pay for like 3 months. So it sounded good.
Kama kawaida.
And then nothing was coming in. And then they were the sister station to Capital FM. So I started strategizing how I was going to go to Capital.
Yeah.
And so eventually one day I got somebody to record a show of mine. When I was on air, I got somebody at home to hit record.
Okay.
So they recorded the whole show. I took the tape. I used to go to Nairobi on and off because my family, like my cousins and all, my mom's family, my dad's family. So when I went there next, I took the tape. I just walked into Capital.
Just like that?
Just like that. Walked to the reception and told the lady, hi, my name is Janet. And this is a tape and I'd like you to give it to the program's manager. She's like, okay, but who are you? I'm like,
Who are you?
I'm like, you don't know me, but I
Work
want
here.
to work here. Every week I would call her. Have you given it? At the time, Phil Matthews was the program manager. I'm like, have you given it to Phil? Then one day she just patched me through to him.
Yeah.
She didn't even warn me. She said, just hold on. Then I just said, hello, Janet. I was like,
Excuse me?
I'm like, that's me. Couldn't talk. He's
Yeah.
like, we've got your tape.
Yeah.
Just be patient. We're trying to work on a few things. So I just decided to wait. And then one day I was in traffic in Nairobi, going for shopping for my cousin's wedding. I get a phone call. I was like, hi, it's Phil Matthews. Are you here? Are you in Nairobi? I said, yes. He's like, come. And long story short, that's how I became the mid-morning magazine presenter at Capital for about a year.
Yeah.
I did mid-morning. I did a bit of drive, a bit of Saturday music
The pay
and
was
sports.
better.
The pay was in. I was just like, what
How
is
much
happening?
is it? Tell us.
It was, I think it was 50. Maybe
What
40
at that time?
At that time,
For how many hours? For
4 hours.
4 hours.
But then there was also a lot of other things you would do.
Yeah.
And then there was other shows I started doing.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, I had my gap year, and
Then
I that's what I promised. That
your
was the deal
parents.
with my parents.
Yes.
And then I went to uni.
What?
Yes. And
That
then
is
now
such a. Then now uni. Then now.
Then years later was now, I came back and I was hoping to still go back to Capital, but they were doing a lot of restructuring.
Right.
And so one of the people, I think it was Eve, was like, why don't you consider TV? And I laughed, Betty.
Yes.
That was my first reaction.
Yeah.
And she asked me, why are you laughing?
Yeah.
And I said, nobody had ever told me I could do
You
TV.
could actually do it,
No one.
but you had thought about it.
Not really. I didn't think I was awkward. I was a very awkward child. I
Really?
was weird. I was scrawny. I didn't think I was TV ready. I had no CV, nothing. I just had a recording, another
from
recording which I
Capital.
did when I was in Malaysia, because I was in uni in
Okay,
Malaysia.
okay.
I went to
Section.
KTN reception. I'm like, hi, my name is Janet.
And I'm here to give you just like that.
Just like that. And I remember I told them, if it means you need somebody to serve tea, if that's what it will take to get my foot in, I'm willing to serve tea. So they told me, just sit down, we'll call someone. So they called the late Gabriel. He was the producer at the time. And they were like, there's this person here who's just come with a CD. She just talk to her.
That is so cool.
And I had no idea they were looking for a presenter for a travel show. No idea.
Yeah.
Didn't even know they had a travel show. I think because I'd been away from the country.
Yeah.
And so he said, okay. So that day at 4 p.m., because I dropped it in the morning, he called me. And he's like, hi, I saw your CD. It's actually not bad. Why don't you come tomorrow for a screen test? And again, I was like, thank you, God.
Oh
I was
my
like, how is this happening? Okay. So I went in.
That's just brilliant. That's just being blessed and lucky.
And
Also,
I think the
And
timing,
all the
right?
timing
yeah,
also.
no. So I went in for the screen test, and he said, we were about to pick a host. We'd already decided who the host will be.
Yeah.
But now we're going to let the top 3 choices.
Right.
We're going to put all of you on, again, another screen test, and then we'll present it to the board. So just start praying.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And then he called, and he said, you've got the job. We're traveling in 3 days. I was like, but I've not.
Just like that.
I'm like, where's the training? He's like, what training? We'll just go. And so that's what happened. And the next thing I knew, I was on the road.
Yeah.
I remember asking the cameraman, what do I do? What do I say? And he just told me, just tell us where you are and what you see. So I said, we're here at the Lake Nakuru National Park. Behind us is the lake, which is becoming a little bit compromised, and we just hope that Kenyans will look after their environment, because we need the flamingos to attract tourists. Around us, we have a rhino, and we have so much wildlife. I look forward to taking you on my journey on Lake Nakuru National Park.
You are so good.
It was something like
Me,
that.
I couldn't even talk. My first PCC, I was just like, Nyanze.
Was that it? So I did that for 6 months, and then the contract, I think, started to come to an end. And so then I found myself again needing to figure out what to do. Then one day, I'm in Old Town shopping for lesos, because that's what I used to do.
Yeah.
I used to love going to Old Town. I was with my mom and her friend, and I get a call, and it's, hi, this is Farida Karone. She said, where are you? I said, I'm in Mombasa. She's like, well, I'm going to need you to come to Nairobi, do a screen test, and start doing the news in a week.
What?
And I was there like, but she had just come. And so long story short, I went there. She just told me, I don't know why you don't see it, but I do. So just do the screen test, and then we'll guide you.
Yeah.
And then I got thrown onto late night news, and then weekend, and then lunchtime, and I did that for about a year.
Yeah.
And then finally I went to Prime.
To prime time.
Which is like the coveted seat. And then that's how I ended up doing that. So I did that. I did primetime for a few months, and then there was an opening in South Africa for a job. And somebody mentioned it to me, and I took it casually at the time. And then eventually I was like, let me try. I mean, I'm 25. I don't really have a family.
Yeah, yeah.
So long story short, I was headhunted. I applied. I got the job, and so I moved to Johannesburg in 2009. And I worked there for 2 years as a news anchor, reporter, producer.
Yeah.
So I came back to Kenya in 2011.
Yeah.
Didn't really have a plan, but I had kept in touch with someone like Farida for a while, and now she'd moved to Citizen. So I was like, hi,
Hey.
I'm in the neighborhood.
I'm in the neighborhood, what's up?
So luckily, again, she was looking for a pairing with Hussein. And so that's how I ended up now doing a screen test with him. And eventually in November, we started a pairing as Janet and Hussein for Citizen.
And that was like, well, that is one of the best pairings we've seen.
Thank you. I love working with him.
You guys had that chemistry.
Yeah, we did. We did that for what, 5 years? Was it 6 years?
Imagine that.
5 years? It was quite a while.
That's great commitment.
Yeah.
Do you remember how everybody was just like, Janet? Do you remember that?
It was so weird. But I just come from South Africa where I had faced xenophobia, sexism, racism, ageism. Like it was pretty tough.
Really?
There was parts of it that were good. But there are other parts where you realize, okay, really, this is not my home. Or you try to get to a certain level, but because of your race or your gender, it's very clear that you will not go anywhere. So when I came back, yes, of course, I appreciated the admiration. But after everything I faced...
You're just being humble.
No.
It was like, what?
But I couldn't... it was difficult to let it get to my head because I knew where I'd come from. And I knew
you had gone through so much.
I really had. And then again, like I said, I'm pretty close with my family. Would never let me forget where I came from.
Okay, so we've just had breakfast with Janet, and it was delicious. I can tell you that for sure. Although she's not the one who cooked it, but it's fine. So now, Janet, I want us to talk about something that is very close to your heart. Your kids now, Huru and Mali, you always, like you said, you try to protect them as much as possible.
Yeah.
But I remember reading this article, and you're saying that one of the reasons actually you quit TV because you wanted to also spend time.
Yes.
For with at that time, I think it was Huru. It was just Huru.
Right.
Why is it so important to? We have to hustle.
Yeah.
Even I would be at home with Ivana or take her to school and sit there with her. But
you're like, girl, you gotta hustle.
Yeah, you have to hustle.
I don't know. I was going through a lot when I took a step back. I was going through burnout because I'd done it non-stop for 10 years, non-stop. I didn't really have a relationship with Huru. Yes, I did the basics of bathing and feeding, but a lot of the time the nanny took over. And there's a time I remember I moved in to hug him and he did this.
No way.
Yeah, he did. He was more familiar with her because he was spending all the time with her. And I was like, oh, snap. For 6 months, I put my finances in order. I made sure I have projects that even if I step out of TV, they're still sustaining me. And I made sure there were projects that could sustain me for 2 years.
No way.
Yeah, I really planned.
What about Mr. Ndishu? How is it like, how long has it been?
It's been, I think, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
It's family and trying to balance family and work and expectations is really hard. And I always tell people when they're saying, oh my gosh, I can't wait to start a family. I say two things. Take your time and make sure you're ready because you could be good at being in love, but you don't really need to be married. I love my family. I love where I am and I just know that it's not easy and it's okay to say it's not easy. And I know what happens is the moment you say it's not easy, I can predict, let me predict the blog posts.
I can tell you, you'll start.
Let me just predict the blog posts, but it's fine. They will talk about it.
Whenever you're going through like a personal issue and then nobody wants to understand because I mean I've been there, got a t-shirt, but nobody wants to really understand and but it also takes the responsibility of people around you too.
I like that it does, and people who actually care about you because there's a lot of people who don't,
and they want just rose.
They want they just want the tea. They want the tea. Give them their dose of tea. It just doesn't have to be the right tea.
The right tea.
Just be like, everything's great.
Yeah, everything is fine.
Everything is so perfect. But then, yes, I'm very strict about my circle. It's small, it's intimate, it matters. There are people who mean well for me. And yeah, that's who I keep close to. But I just refuse to be quiet about the struggles that people go through.
Or you go through.
That I go through. So I don't go into detail, just out of respect.
Thank you so much for sharing all that with us. And so now we'll be heading out to...
We're going to go to Kibera.
Let me ask you, how first of all, do you keep yourself looking like this?
I try and eat decently, but lately I've been doing really badly. I love carbs. I
Okay,
love my
carbs are
chapos and
amazing.
my all of that. And then I think Kuru and Mali keep me on my toes a fair bit. I'm always like on the move, and then I'm naturally always on the move.
So what do you do for fun? Like, like I don't see the certain places where we would actually just...
I do like chat. I like reading. I like excursions. I haven't done it in a while, but things like hikes and camping.
Yeah.
I actually like that, but I just haven't done it in a while. Yeah, I think that's what I do, and outings, I guess.
All right, so we're from Janet's home. The tea was delicious, like I mentioned, but I think we need a bit more to take us through the day, because now we are heading to Kibera. So before we get to Kibera, we decided to have a stop in Kiambu, and we're here. You're coming to do what exactly?
Yeah.
You're a woman of many... She even wants sneakers, by the way.
I'm a sneaker fanatic. This is part of what I do with Lifeboy, the Help a Child Reach 5 campaign.
Yes.
And so Naivas has obviously been a partner. They help us not only sell the product, but also talk about the importance of hand washing with soap to save lives.
Right.
So what I do sometimes is I check in with the staff. How is it going? What other support do you need?
Yes.
Is the messaging making sense to customers? Once in a while I even meet with the customers. So this is part of the work. Like, I don't just show up at events. I also try and check in.
So just post pictures on...
And that's what I do. So that's what we'll go and do.
All right, then let's go.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Karibuni, closer. Closer to the... They literally look so...
Now I'm the one who takes her back seat.
I decided to invade your store today with cameras.
So that every time you're done, you just need to make your hands clean. And
Yeah.
Lifebuoy is a great one.
Yeah.
All right, so it's obviously a busy day with Janet Mbugua. We're still shooting Up Close on Weekend with Betsy, and right now we're in Kibra at Carolina for Kibera.
That's right.
So we've been talking about this for a long time, almost the whole day.
Yes.
And finally we're here.
Yeah.
So what is this place all about?
It's an amazing place that I got to know the people who run it, who we'll meet just now, and they'll tell us a little bit more about their vision and their mission. But basically, they have a very robust adolescent health girls program, which is the reason I ended up collaborating.
Right.
So they've got a really good grasp of the community. They are trusted by the community. And so we came and added a menstrual hygiene program within the programs that they do. So, the Girls Empowerment Program is where we plugged in. It's a program that existed. We plugged in with this other part of the program, which is menstrual hygiene.
All right, great. Let's go.
How does it function? Pretty much the same as the tampon. Okay, cloth, preferably cotton.
So toxic shock syndrome can occur if you leave a sanitary product like a tampon for longer than 8 hours, like she said.
All right, so after the MHM lab with Janet and of course those amazing girls and the trainers, it's now time for us to talk about this milestone. Like, wow.
I know.
You posted this picture, I'm just like, wait a minute, am I reading right?
Yeah.
You actually have done a book about my first time. This is how important it is to you.
It is, Betty. It's so important. I think part of it is my own journey. I had issues with my period. I started when I was very young, which you'll learn about in the book. I was inspired by the stories I heard. So the book brings together different sets of stories. I didn't want it to be doom and gloom. That's why everybody looks amazing.
But then everybody looks amazing. You should see the copy inside.
Yeah.
You show us. Even I've seen an imam.
There's an imam.
Imagine that.
So that brings in the men. So I called it my first time to be like, first, what was your first time or first interaction like? And then let's draw from that story. What does it mean to you today? One of the people profiled is a former inmate. So she talks about menstruation in prison,
jail.
and it is horrific. They don't have access to product. You're lucky if you're given one. Some people have to share a pad.
No way.
You share a pad. Just think about that. Think about having to share a used pad. That's the life that people go through because there's no access to product. And so part of this is supposed to be to influence policy change. I want to use this as a tool to say to the government, look, I know you're trying, but consider the fact that your policy has to be more inclusive. Even a dad who's scared to talk to his daughter should buy this book. Because there's also letters there, like there's a letter from a dad. If you don't know how to talk, just read the letter. It will be available in stores from early November.
You deserve a hug.
Oh my gosh.
This is so good and I'm so proud of it. I'm so happy
Thank
for
you.
you. Definitely will buy the book.
Yes, there's a power within each and every one of us, a purpose, a passion, a drive. It's very hard sometimes to awaken to it, but once you do, I think you can conquer a lot.
This has been Up Close.
Thanks, guys.
Of course, on the Weekend with Betsy with the one and only Janet Mbugua. It's great to just have you here. Yeah. Say goodbye to...
See you. Asante Sana.